Good morning, everybody. Welcome in. Hope you are all doing well. I think my audio might be off.
Testing. Can you guys hear me? Good morning. Good morning, Etron. Great to have you. Boom Lee. I'm seeing it right. Hello. Welcome in. Crypto Rafi. Great to have you. I'm doing well. Michael Carter. How are you? Thank you for tuning in. Matthew Davis. Good morning. Someone special. Great to have you. Peterson 99. Loud and clear. Awesome. David Morla. Great to have you. Good to see everybody. We are still in a bull market. I know kind of hard to believe that sometimes, but we are still in the bull market. Of course, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the reason why we are still in the bull market and why I'm so bullish, and that we just got to go through these, this cyclical patterns, right, of pump and corrections, and it doesn't happen on our timeline as always, but we're getting there. We're getting there. Nancy Marshall, welcome in. Jaws XXX, great to have you. Juicy Juicy, Michael M, great to have you. Good to see everybody. Jason Thompson, Jorge Velades, saying that right. Good to see everybody. Welcome in. Guys, on your way in, hit the thumbs up button, the subscribe button if you haven't yet. Hit the heart button wherever you're watching or listening. We are streaming on many platforms this morning: YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, X, of course, TikTok.com, Rumble as well. Trying to get the message out there about crypto, folks. Good to see everybody. I hope you're all doing well. All right, guys, let's kick it off. Okay, Bitcoin currently sitting at $104,300. And we all know Bitcoin leads the market. So if you're expecting altcoins to pump on their own, they're not going to do so. You have to understand the liquidity flow in the market. And it starts with Bitcoin. Then when Bitcoin usually hits an overbought zone, then you start to see some alts pop off. That's not to say, we can't see some movement this week or even next week for some of these alts. But generally, when you have this type of pullback, it has to reset. The sentiment has to reset, and then the liquidity starts making its way in. So if we just simply look at the daily chart here, Bitcoin obviously pulling back, but it's still clearly above the 200-day moving average. This is something we were talking about when we had I was about to say COVID, when we had the tariff crash and everything went below the 200-day moving average. I said, look, if we stay down here and we keep going down, that's a bear market. But as long as we are back above that 200-day moving average, whatever happens, as far as volatility, we're still good. From the macro, if you go look at the chart from all the bull markets, you'll see the 200-day moving average. Once we are above that, we are holding that bull market support. Once we are clearly below it and there's a downtrend, that's a bear market. So the patterns are clear here, right? Simple pattern recognition. And we see we came out of that hole. We did a V-shaped recovery. And look, that took a lot of liquidity. That took a lot of getting a lot of strength and push to get out of that. Well, it can't keep going up in a straight line. As I often say, you're going to have these pullbacks, build support levels, and then we keep going up. Now, we don't be surprised if Bitcoin goes and tests 98K. So just be mentally prepared for that, because as educated investors, we have to think about all scenarios and be mentally prepared for it. So Bitcoin could go down, test 98K, then bounce and go up. Okay. I think the next major target for Bitcoin as far as a local top would be like between 120 to 125K. And then we'll see if it overshoots it or what it does. And then, what it does later this year. So we'll have to just be ready for all these scenarios. This is why we need to have a cash out plan, because we just don't know where Bitcoin's going to top out. Obviously, we'll look at the different signals and metrics and on-chain data as we get closer, but we have to use the data we have on hand today. And then as things progress, update our thesis accordingly. But overall, the foundation to our thesis is we are in a bull market. There's still more upside here. Altcoins will have their day, but we need to have Bitcoin show more strength. When you look at Bitcoin from the weekly time frame, also looks bullish, right? Nothing bearish here. The RSI on the weekly still showing it's still above that breakout area. The MACD still in the green, if you see where my mouse cursor is. So we haven't flipped the red or anything like that. You'll notice that when we are having rallies, the MACD is in the green and it's growing. The bars are growing. When we are in a downtrend or pullback, you see here it flips red. So we're still in the green. Bulls are still in control. Obviously, we want to see this whatever pullback wrap up soon, and then we bounce, right? I think we're going to have a very strong bounce once we bottom out. So once again, don't be surprised if Bitcoin goes to 98K, then has a very strong bounce. So at this point, you want to chill out, right? Don't be too emotionally attached to the daily, hourly, and so forth. It's going to take you for a roller coaster ride. You don't want to invest in your emotions. Now you may say, hey, it's annoying, I'm getting impatient, but this is investing. This is not going to the casino. This is not playing the lottery. So in investing, patience is a big factor. I always tell you guys, when in doubt, zoom out. Go look at the charts. It will help give you some perspective on where we came from and where we're going. So just keep that in mind. So what are the factors I'm looking at when it comes to the market to say we are in a bull market? Well, let me break it down for you. First, Bitcoin whales. This is the on-chain data from Sentiment. Shows they are accumulating. Wallets of 10 or more Bitcoin continue to accumulate. And let me zoom out a bit more here if I can to give you guys some more perspective. Let's do March here. And zoom out here to March of last year. So remember last year with the Bitcoin ETF launch, we had a massive dump, right? That was going into the summer. That was the buy the rumor, sell the news event on the Bitcoin ETF launch. Notice what the whales were doing, dumping. Then when the market bottomed, they started buying and accumulating. And even though they took some profits in the tariff crash, so to speak, in February, March, they've started accumulating again. So the data doesn't lie here, folks. They are accumulating. They're anticipating higher prices. And many of them have a macro outlook, a longer outlook. And I'm not talking like 10 years or even 6 years. I'm talking they may look at it from a yearly standpoint or 2 years. So I believe this year we're going to see the blow off top. I think this is the direction the whales are moving in as well. And they're going to eventually take profits, and you're going to start to see this accumulation line start to decline. It will start to dump, just like we saw in previous cycles. And the correlating metric to that is supply and exchanges. Bitcoin supply and exchanges continues to hit new lows. So what people are buying the coins, taking it off the exchange. What we saw historically is that the coins start moving back on the exchange when they're ready to take profits. So it's kind of rinse and repeat here, folks. And we've seen this time and time again. And again, going back to last year, they were moving coins on the exchanges, and then started taking profits. So good sign. Coins are not moving back on the exchanges to be sold. All right. Now, Bitcoin dominance. We were watching this closely when it was breaking down significantly. It has bounced since then. So you're seeing Bitcoin dominance starting to find strength again. That is a good sign that the bull market's continuing. It means that Bitcoin's going to steal the liquidity, steal the show. And as I've been saying, you hold altcoins, you got to be patient. Let Bitcoin do its thing. And once you understand these principles, it's no longer about being tribal. It's just like, okay, this is a fact of how the market works. So we kind of want to cheer for Bitcoin to go as high as possible, because it's going to bring in a ton of liquidity. And then you see the rotation of liquidity to ETH, XRP, Solana, and much more. So what we're looking for is a breakdown like what we saw in December with the big rally, right? December took us to new all-time highs for Bitcoin, and then some altcoins hit new all-time highs. Some just simply rallied, like XRP and much more. So if Bitcoin dominance keeps, let's say, finding strength and it keeps working its way up, and then eventually, maybe come July, starts breaking down, then it's the showtime for altcoins. So I hope you understand what I'm saying here. Similar to what we saw in December, and even into March and things of last year, this is what we want to see. That type of big breakdown for Bitcoin dominance, because that is very good for altcoins. Now, Tether dominance. This is essentially a metric using or looking at the liquidity, because a lot of stablecoin liquidity comes from Tether and it goes into the market, right? We see a lot of USDT and even USDC get minted. So those breakdown patterns, like what we saw in February, March of last year, December of last year, and we started seeing some sort of breakdown with Bitcoin hitting a new all-time high, but it has paused, which makes sense because the price of Bitcoin has stopped moving up. So I hope you see the correlation here, how all these things are moving in tandem. There's some inverse correlation. So if this is going to find strength here and maybe move up, and like I said, come July, then break down, we'll see. But obviously, we go based on the facts. And when you see a true breakdown of the Tether dominance, that means all that liquidity is starting to pump into Bitcoin and into the market. So again, the patience game, right? I know it's annoying, but this is investing, folks. It's if you look at the stock market, it's going through its own things, right? It had its V-shaped recovery. Like I was saying, we are still in a bull market, but building support levels and then getting ready for the next major move. But there's a time period for that, right? For that consolidation and that chop. And that's the boring part. But that's where you can step away from the charts, step away from your portfolio, go do something fun, right? And then when it's ready to start moving again and continue to follow global liquidity and much more, then you come back and you start paying attention. But right now, it's like, hey, this is where we're at. We just got to be patient. But as I mentioned, global liquidity, the market is following global liquidity. So here's Bitcoin's correlation to global liquidity, and you can see there's still room for upside. There's a 3-month lag, and this, all assets are correlated to global liquidity. And here, look at this, specifically for the US now, right? We just look at all central banks' money supply, but specifically for the US money supply hit an all-time high in April for the first time in 3 years. This makes sense. There's obviously a lag when we get the data, but here you go. All right, liquidity being pumped into the economy and markets, and that's why global liquidity, one of the factors of why global liquidity has been going up, in addition to other countries and central banks who have been printing, doing stimulus, and much more. And of course, the inverse to that is DXY, dollar currency index, continues to show weakness. It looks like it's going to continue to break down. So if you have global liquidity on the rise, DXY on its way down, Tether dominance and all these things, and Bitcoin dominance and all these things, you if you line them up, you just see the perfect picture here of what's to come. It's just a matter of being patient. And I know that's something many of you don't want to hear, but it's unfortunately, it's the reality, it's the facts. So you gotta be able to accept the reality of the situation. Now, other macro metrics that have flashed for Bitcoin's top being in, like the Bitcoin Pi cycle top indicator, have not flashed. So let me zoom in here a bit. So essentially, it's when the 100-day moving average and the 300-day moving average, they hit and sometimes cross. You'll see for all the peaks in the past cycle, even the double tops, same thing, right? So, whoops, I didn't necessarily want to do that, but anyway, the idea here is that this thing is far from over, right? And I need to refresh this because I messed it up there. A major signal here is showing we're not even close, folks. We're not even close. It did get close, kind of close last year with the March run up, as mentioned, the Bitcoin ETF launch. But then it has deviated since then, and we're waiting for it to get closer again. So when you're looking at all of these different factors, TLDR, still in a bull market, patience is the key here. Bitcoin has to do its thing, then altcoins will have their day. So I hope that's helpful for you guys. Now, before I continue, folks, be sure to check out my sponsor, Uphold. Great place to buy trade, and stake crypto. Trezor, they make great hardware wallets that make it easy for you to safely store your crypto. Use the code ThinkingCrypto, all one word, to get 5% off. I'm a user of the devices. I use the Trezor Safe 5. They're beautiful devices, and Trezor, they're the ones that created hardware wallets. So just so you guys know, Proppy, leading the charge with putting real estate on chain. I am a Proppy token holder. You can buy and sell real estate on this platform using crypto. VeChain, I'm a VET token holder. VeChain, one of the top layer 1 enterprise blockchains, getting tons of adoption by big brands and companies around the globe. So check out those sponsors, folks. Also sign up for my free email newsletter. Check out my book on Amazon. It's available in paperback and digital, and my course at mycryptocourse.com. So all the links will be in the description. So folks, as mentioned, bull market, everything's still on track. Just got to be patient. Now, we continue to see companies who are using a Bitcoin treasury reserve strategy continue to buy Bitcoin. So Metaplanet, they bought another 1,088 Bitcoin strategy. Michael Saylor, they bought another 705 Bitcoin. So they continue to bet that the price of Bitcoin is going to go higher. And obviously, they're raising debt to do this. So this is another indication, but I don't use this as the strongest indicator that we're still in the bull market. But clearly, they anticipate higher prices. Now, we continue to see more crypto adoption. A UK-listed IG group launches retail crypto trading, giving investors access to 31 digital assets, including Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. So everybody and their uncle are trying to launch crypto trading and custody services, because this is the next major asset class, the next macro trade. And this technology is essentially the rails that the government, the markets, and the economies are going to be running on. So really, really big. You're just seeing people and companies who were not involved in crypto. They're not crypto native. They're TradFi native. They're coming in now, launching all types of services around crypto. And what's interesting, my sponsor Uphold will be, doing the infrastructure and compliance for them. So this is really great to see Uphold integrating with other companies. So once again, Uphold, great place to buy, sell, and stake your crypto. And then we also have news here that Russia's largest bank, Sberbank, they have launched structured bonds linked to Bitcoin. See where the puck is heading, folks? It's incredible. You have the world's largest institutions, banks, investment firms, all types of payment companies involving crypto in one way or the other, offering it as an asset that you can buy and sell and trade, and then also using the technology to build, right? Many banks are tokenizing, and eventually they're going to be offering staking and all the different features that we have in, from crypto native apps and exchanges. Circle, many of you know, they filed with the New York Stock Exchange to do an IPO. They're seeking a $7.2 billion valuation to do their IPO. So it doesn't look like the acquisitions will be happening from Ripple or Coinbase, who are both trying to acquire Circle. Looks like Circle wants to go public, and that's the track they're going to stay on. I think they could do really well because stablecoin legislation is on the table in Congress and in the Senate, of course. And, if we get that through this year, it could really, skyrocket the business of companies like Circle and others. And look, banks and much more want to get involved in crypto too. So, the stablecoin market could easily hit $1 trillion market cap later this year or into next year. Now, Consensus, they confirm that the company's SharpLink will be doing an Ethereum corporate treasury strategy. I had shared this news with you guys last week, and we also mentioned XRP being used as a corporate treasury asset too. But here, the folks at Consensus confirm the closing of a $425 million private placement, and Joe Lubin will become a chairman of the board. So very interesting, and some very big investment firms and hedge funds are a part of this. So it's amazing. It started with Bitcoin. Now it's going to ETH. And of course, XRP mentioned, I think like 3 companies last week mentioned they're buying XRP to use it as a treasury reserve asset. So very exciting times. Now look at this. The female version of Gary Gensler, who's still at the SEC, she's the only Democratic commissioner, comes out against crypto staking. So last week, the SEC, Hester Peirce Markey waited, they gave clarity on staking. And now Caroline Crenshaw is still dying on this hill, saying it's all a security. Come on, man. It's clearly political, that's what she's doing here, and repeating Gary Gensler's bullshit talking points. So, but nevertheless, she's on the losing side of history. Her, Elizabeth Warren, Gary Gensler on the losing side of history. Crypto's here to stay. It's not going away. And I don't know if she's playing the game of, hey, I'm going to keep saying negative things so that my bankster buddies, my Jamie Dimons and so forth, can go in and take their positions before, you know, the majority of the masses come in. That could be the game that's being played as well. But that's the news, folks. And like I said, we just got to be patient and keep looking at the data. I know some of you are like, man, when is XRP going to move? When is this? But patience, guys. Remember that we had a huge run up in Q4 of last year. So it's not like it hasn't done anything. And we're still holding strong here as far as support levels. And look, we could go a bit further down before we bounce. So you really got to have the macro view here of the markets so that you're not caught up in the emotional roller coasters, right? And, you know, things will cool down and then, you know, they will bounce. So one thing that's interesting is that XRP's our daily RSI is nearing the oversold zone. So again, look at these different indicators. They're very important to help you navigate. Notice how overheated in the overbought, and I'm using over a lot, in the overbought zone, XRP was super overbought heading up into what, the 90s? Yeah. On the daily RSI back in Q4. So naturally it corrected. Natural, healthy, a little bit of a bounce, but now going back, and I wanted to go to that oversold zone because, you know, the market will flip the other way, right? So it's going to flip and keep moving. But Bitcoin, like I've been saying, has to do its thing because it leads the market. I don't make the rules. That's just how it is. And then we're going to see XRP start to move, folks. Hit the thumbs up button if you want XRP, ETH, and these alts to start moving. Hit the thumbs up button, guys. Hit the heart button, the like button, wherever you're watching and listening. So all the altcoins are pretty much in the same boat. I mean, you look at ETH, which has been struggling. I mean, this entire cycle, right? It is starting to show some strength, right? It had a major move earlier in May and consolidating. So let's say you were an ETH holder. You could be frustrated here, but patience is a key. You can see it's just setting up for the next move upwards. And it did get overheated because it was an overbought zone with the RSI. Notice same pattern, right? Same thing in Q4. So it's got to cool down and then find its way up. So see how the data can help you just have peace of mind and see where you're at in the market cycle and what's to come. Solana also, if you're a SOL holder, right? I mean, we hit a new all-time high in, when was that? In Q4? No, this was, let's see here. This was in January. We hit a new all-time high coming off the Q4 rally. Massive dump. I mean, right? Look at that. That's pretty painful. But SOL has been a leader in this market. It was getting a lot of liquidity in 2024. You could see here it was leading all the altcoins, and then it became more of a laggard after that. But still up significantly when you use a Fibonacci model. It's off the bear market bottom. So it's got room to run. And you know, you could have said, man, Solana broke its all-time high. It could have entered into price discovery, but then it had a massive dump. So this is where you got to understand what's happening, use the signals to get an idea, and you know, form the thesis based on the data that we are still in the bull market and that these coins still have room to run. I'm just going to take a look at the comments here, see how everybody's doing. Boomley says, hopefully some recovery this weekend, full mega rallies within a month starts. Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think it's coming, right? I would put a high probability. I can't guarantee anything, but I would put a high probability that it's coming. But patience. Don't get shaken out, right? David Morley says, Tony, I don't see many people asking questions about it. What do you believe will happen to the people who had acquired hundreds of Bitcoin from the dark web? I'm not sure much about that. You know, the dark web, I don't know. I know the government has seized a lot of it. You know, they have over 200,000 Bitcoin they got from Silk Road and other places. So even the government's going to use that for the, you know, Bitcoin strategic reserve. So I don't think anything is going to happen, honestly, unless they were involved in some sort of crime. Thanks, Michael. Crypto says, yes, that's true. Only the ETFs has much outflows, but nothing significant. Yeah, and here's the thing with ETFs. You're going to see outflows, right? Because ETFs are people, it includes a lot of retail and people who are just going to be like, oh man, I need to sell. And look, that's the nature of the ETF product. Many of us are hodlers, right? We're not panic selling. If you're panic selling, you're doing it wrong. So you're going to have your panic sellers. They exist. You can't get around them, right? Okay. Billy Dilly says, Tony, you always mention you hold VET. What do you do with the VTHO that you get from your? So great question, Billy. So I hold the VTHOR token. I've been just holding it because I'm waiting for the price to go up, honestly. So like near the peak of the bull market, I may, you know, I'm going to sell, right? Because I'm here to make money, but I just been holding it from the years and years of accumulating it. I don't know how well VTHOR is going to do. We'll see. But at the end of the day, it's house money, right? Because I didn't invest anything into that to get it. It comes as like the gas fee, if you want to call it that. And I'm looking to, you know, liquidate it once we are nearing the top of the market. Sutton Howard says, is Zebek a good buy? I've been seeing people post about Zebek. I don't know. To be honest, I don't know much about Zebek. So I'm be upfront. I would need to do some research because I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. As always, you know, you want to. So which Zebek is it? Zebek Network or ZBC? There's two here. I don't know which is which. So let's see. Oh, okay. This one, this was the old one that got migrated. Okay, never mind. Let's see here. So this is the new version. Yeah, like I said, don't know much about this. It looks like the coin rallied recently. That's a good sign, if you want to call it. Looks like it was launched last year. It was down, but then it's been rallying. So decentralized infrastructure network for real world value flows, founded in 2021. Zebek was attracted 35. Interesting. Yeah. So I don't know much about it. We'll need to do some more research to give you an educated response on that. Yeah, someone special says, very few people become wealthy overnight. Just buy, hold, sit back, and enjoy the ride. Patience is a virtue. Absolutely. And that's a lesson I had to learn, guys. So I'm not here to put down anybody. I'm just sharing my experience and my knowledge. And I didn't get it right in my first bull market cycle. I could have made a ton more money, but I was scared, to be honest. I was anxious as to how much money should I put into this. This is all new, right? I made a little bit of money, but I was kicking myself like, man, I could, if I had listened to my friend, if I had put some more money into whatever, Bitcoin XRP in 2017, I could have made a ton of money. But you live and you learn. So you got to be patient. That's the one thing I learned. My portfolio has grown. So I've often said I made more money in crypto than I ever dreamed I would have. But going through that journey, patience is so important, and having the macro view and understanding my foundational knowledge, or having the foundational knowledge of global liquidity and the market cycles, is so important. Because if you don't have that, it's like that. This has to be your anchor, because it's how markets move. And you need to make sure you can that you grasp the understanding of this. You don't have to be an expert. I'm not telling you to become a Wall Street expert, but just understanding, hey, all assets, real estate, stocks, gold, crypto, are all moving with this. There's a lag, there's a rotational liquidity, And it's just the patience game, right? Warren Buffett played the patience game by just buying, holding, and having his money compound. So crypto moves much faster than stocks, of course, and there's much more upside. It's much more volatile, obviously. So you got to make sure you have the foundational knowledge and look at all this data stuff I'm providing, guys. And this is why I keep telling you, subscribe to my newsletter as well, because I include a lot of data in here. And you can always go to it, bookmark this newsletter. And on days you're like, man, what the hell is going on with this market? Go to things like this as like a foundational knowledge reminder, right? Oh, okay, here's where we're at in a cycle. Oh, this pattern has played out before, right? Global liquidity still rising. Stock market also seeing a recovery, right? DXY also breaking down. Okay, whales, the guys who, we're talking millionaires and billionaires who are buying a lot of coins and playing the market, they are still accumulating, right? Bitcoin and Tether dominance, what are they doing? Having the foundational knowledge is so important, and it will help you to be patient in these boring, sometimes gut-wrenching times. So please subscribe to the newsletter. It's free. You don't have to pay anything. And I'm pointing you to things you can always go pull up. You just bookmark it, and it can help you to learn and just be as a reminder as well. Folks, reminder, check out our sponsors. Uphold, great place to buy, sell, stake crypto. Trezor, great hardware wallet that you can use to safely store your crypto assets. They support all the major crypto assets. Use the code ThinkingCrypto, all one word, to get 5% off. Check out Proppy. I'm a Proppy token holder. They're putting real estate on chain. Check out VeChain, enterprise blockchain, being used by folks like Dana White and the UFC, Boston Consulting Group, to build all types of Web3 projects. I'm a VET token holder as well. So be sure to check out our sponsors. Link will be in the description. Ricky Sebastian Sanchez, his thoughts on James Wine. So this is the guy, the massive whale, if I'm not mistaken, they got liquidated. Like, he made a massive bet, if my memory serves me right. Let's see here. Yeah, I mean, look, this is why I don't use leverage. Let this be a lesson to you. Just because you have millions and billions of dollars, leverage is a dangerous game. You got to know what you're doing, man. And I'm strictly a spot holder, meaning I just buy the asset, I hold it. Sometimes I swing trade. Swing trade does not require any leverage. What do I mean by swing trade? So, for example, let's use the Bitcoin chart as an example. Okay. If the thesis is that Bitcoin next local top is around 120K, 123K, right? And it's pulling back, I can take a good amount of cash, buy Bitcoin here, and then set the sell price at 120K. Swing trading, right? So you buy the dip, sell the rip. Now, you have to understand the market cycles to do that. Do I get it correct 100% of the time? Of course not, right? Markets have an uncertainty, black swan events, all those things. Do I get it a good amount of times? Yes, because I've learned these cyclical patterns. Now, this is separate from my long-term holdbacks. I have my certain crypto, it doesn't move until I'm ready to sell at new all-time highs. This is simply taking some play money. It's like, okay, I don't care if I lose this money, but I've gotten better at swing trading where I'm profitable. I am not losing money. Now, if you're using leverage, I know a lot of people are going to say, you're going to make the money faster. Yeah, but you're also getting 10 times the risk and you can get liquidated. So if for example, I buy this dip, but Bitcoin doesn't go up. Let's just say in the example, it doesn't go up. Guess what? I don't get liquidated. I just hold the asset. At the end of the day, in the long run, it's still going to work out for me. So you can swing trade, folks, but leverage is such a dangerous thing. You got to be careful. Obviously, there are expert traders out there who know what they're doing, and God bless them. They know what they're doing. They're making money, but more often than not, you hear a lot of people getting liquidated when they use leverage. Carmichael says, what do you think about Flare and F assets? So I am bullish on Flare. I am a Flare token holder. I am expecting Flare to do well, you know, as they get all the F assets launched on mainnet. We'll see how high the price goes. Let me adjust this Fibonacci chart here, guys. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so we saw strength on Flare in the Q4 run up. That's a very good sign. It went up pretty high as far as the Fibonacci extensions to the 618. Obviously corrected heavily, right? It's not an established asset that has been around for multiple cycles, so you're going to see more volatility. And then it has bounced since, you know, the tariff crash correction and all that stuff. So that's a good sign. I'm hoping, and I say hope now, that maybe we can get to, let's see here, what, 8 cents, 10 cents, you know, 10 cents would be awesome. I would gladly take that and cash out my Flare tokens, because right now I am delegating, earning the rewards. So we will see what adoption the Flare network gets with FXRP and other F assets. That can help the price to go up as you get more adoption. But, you know, like I said, good sign that we bounced off the bear market in Q4. We lost all the gains, but we're bouncing again. And hopefully we see more strength with this, able to move higher. Zed says, loaded up on Flare. How you doing, John Tien? Great to have you. Juicy says, can you talk Litecoin? So funny, I hold some Litecoin from back in like 2017, guys. So, you know, I've been here since 2016, excuse me. So I bought some Litecoin fairly cheap. I'm planning to take profits on it, you know, as the market goes up. And let's see what we can look at here with Litecoin. You know, Litecoin is one of those old coins, man. I remember meeting Charlie Lee back in 2018 at I think it was World Crypto Con in Las Vegas. That is a throwback right there. Okay, so Litecoin need to see more strength. It has bounced off the bear market bottom a bit. Once again, looking at the previous cycle of 2021, it hit an all-time high of near $420. Obviously down to below 100 right now. We're seeing some level of bounce here, but it's not as strong as other coins, right? We were just looking at even the Flare chart. The Flare chart. The Flare chart showed FLR went all the way up to the 618. You can see here, Litecoin, the 0.236. We need to see more strength. That's not to say it can't move later in the cycle, but this is where you want to look at these different coins and their charts to see where are they? Are they showing strength? You know, are they far from their old all-time high? You know, it's possible Litecoin could break its all-time high. This is not anything too crazy if you think about it, percentage gain wise. So let's see how it does. David R. Morla says, any tokens folks are buying? The most recent one I bought was Ondo. I turned bullish on Ondo, and yeah, that's the one I added to my portfolio. Thanks, David. Appreciate it. Sandbox. I'm not sure what that is. Zebek. So I spoke about Zebek earlier. Life of Daryl says, beyond cryptocurrency, what real world problems is blockchain actually solving right now? And where is it making the most impact? Yeah, great question, Darnell. So there's quite a few things. There's real world asset tokenization. So I'm sure you've been seeing BlackRock and some of these big firms are using blockchain to tokenize stocks and treasuries and much more to open up new financial products and to have these financial products more globally accessible. Robinhood, you may have seen recently, said they're ready, and Kraken as well. They're looking to put stocks and all these things on the blockchain and then push it to other markets. So it opens up the accessibility to assets, instant settlement, and all those benefits, right? So that's one. Stablecoins is the next. So clearly, stablecoins is going to be a big part of our financial markets. And a lot of people are going to be issuers of stablecoins. Congress is working on the legislation. So that brings the instant settlement, lowers fees, you have faster transaction times. So that's another one. In addition, there are different sectors that are looking to put data and information on the blockchain. For example, people who are in the science field, even people who are in the real estate field are looking to put deeds, tokenized houses, and all this information, the data, right, that have been maybe corrupted, or I shouldn't say corrupted, but if you look at deeds and certain paperwork that are getting old and you want to get them in a digital format, the best place to do it is on blockchain, because you can have that time-stamped record that's incorruptible. So you have these different sectors and industries that are now using the blockchain to do that, to make things more efficient, cut out middlemen, cut down costs and things like that. So for example, my sponsor Proppy, they're doing that. They are putting real estate on chain, putting deeds and so forth. And just the other day, we heard that in New Jersey, Bergen County is going to be tokenizing deeds on the blockchain, on the Avalanche blockchain. And they're doing like hundreds of millions of dollars of properties. So things are happening. A lot of it doesn't make the major headlines, but this is where you subscribe to a podcast like this, because I try to bring that to you guys. So those are some of the use cases. And obviously DeFi is going to be another big one, where it's going to open up more borrowing and lending, but it still needs to be fine-tuned, and there needs to be further iteration to have it be more, how should I put it, stable, because there's been a lot of exploits and things like that. But version 1.0 of any technology is going to be is going to struggle, right? It's going to have its flaws. Michael Carter says, "Hey Tony, what are your thoughts on the pullback on HBAR? Do you think we'll go back to all-time high?" Thank you, Brett. So along the lines of what we were talking about, the market's waiting for Bitcoin, right? So if you hold HBAR, XRP, Solana, doesn't matter. Ethereum, it doesn't matter. Market is waiting for Bitcoin to move. And it's what I was sharing earlier with Bitcoin dominance, Tether dominance, global liquidity as well. But guys, if you're looking at a chart and you're like, hey, does this look bullish? HBAR looks bullish. And I'm a token holder, so I don't want you to think I'm hiding the fact that I am a token holder, I'm being biased. But look at this chart compared to what we were looking at with Litecoin. This coin went past the 0.618 in the Q4 rally. That's a very good sign. That's a lot of strength. You'll notice here by simply looking with your own eyes here, right? We're not far from the all-time high, which was about 60 cents. So I do think there's a high probability of HBAR at least getting to $1, at least, and then it could go higher. If it goes to the 2.618, that puts it near $1.50. Not guaranteed. So I want to make sure you guys don't say, oh, you see, Tony said it's guaranteed to get there. No, I don't have a crystal ball, but based on what the chart is showing me, there's a lot of strength here. That's a very good sign. Obviously, pullback. So if you're wondering, hey, why is the price back? Well, everything pulled back with the tariff uncertainty crash, right? So we're going to have to get out of here. And as always, Bitcoin leads the charge. It will pull us out with the liquidity, and then alts are going to run. Guys, alts are going to run, but you got to be patient, and you got to understand the cyclical pattern of the market. That's why if you're just focusing on your one asset, and you're like, why is it not moving? Because all this stuff moves together, and I keep going back to this global liquidity. So this is why I'm using this as the measuring stick, right? The benchmark. Bitcoin is following global liquidity. As it moves, those alts are going to get pulled, just like they did in Q4. What happened in Q4? Bitcoin ran up first, then alts started following, right? And then eventually they start moving side by side in parallel. So super important to think about these things. Hamid says, will AVAX do well this bull market? I hope so. I mean, I'm an AVAX token holder. We're seeing a lot of adoption news around AVAX. So that's a good sign, right? That Avalanche is getting a lot of adoption. I just mentioned the, the adoption by New Jersey, Bergen County, putting a ton of real estate on the blockchain, on the Avalanche blockchain. So, okay, let's look at the Avalanche chart here. So the Avalanche chart is decent. It's not like HBAR that I just showed you. It's not like Flare like I just showed you. It's not like XRP. It went in the Q4 rally. It went up to the 3.82. It would have been nice to see it go to the 618 like XRP and these others, But the good sign is off its bear market bottom. Now it took back a lot of the gains it made, due to the tariff uncertainty pullback, but I'm hoping it can find strength and keep moving up. But it's also, when you, once again, by percentage, now it's not far from the all-time high. The all-time high was what, 148. It's at $21. We're not that far as far as percentage gain. So it has a good probability of breaking the old all-time high. Now, I often tell you guys, it all depends on your entry price. If you bought the bloody bear market bottom and you bought this asset at whatever price, $9, $10, and it runs up to $100, you're making a good return there, right? So if you bought the top in the last cycle, obviously now you're waiting for new all-time highs to make some money. So this is where you got to understand the market cycles. This is where you got to be a contrarian and buy the blood, fear, and depression. If you're buying down here, you're golden, man, because this thing just runs to 125. It runs to its old all-time high. You're making money. So these are things to keep in mind, and why you have to be a contrarian to the herd and to mainstream media. They don't show you stuff like this. They'll sell you fear in this area when this is the time to be greedy. This is where smart money buys. They load up the truck, they back up the truck and they load up. Then they go on TV and tell you, hey man, bull market, this thing is going to run to, $10,000, right? They get you to FOMO in, you drive the price up, they exit the market, and you're holding the bag. And that's how they play dumb money. So you want to be on the side of smart money. You want to be buying the blood and ride the wave up to the euphoria greed, take your profits, and you are good. So I am bullish on AVAX. I want to see more strength on this chart, and hopefully it makes some new highs. So I guess I'll call you Wizard. I covered Flare earlier, so you can check that out. Sounds of Meditation, great to have you. Thanks for joining. Jen Cruz, thank you, Jen. I appreciate that. Great to have you. Guys, hit that thumbs up button if you appreciate the content. Hit the thumbs up button, hit the 5-star rating, hit the heart button wherever you're watching, listening. We're streaming on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, Rumble, everywhere. So check it all out. Crow Bro says, hey, Tony, thank you for the great content. Any thoughts about ETN? So I have no idea what ETN is. Let me see if I can pull up some information here. Coin market cap. Oh, there we go. ETN. I have no idea what this is. Electronium. I remember this token from last cycle. It's down bad. Just being honest, right? It was at 8 cents at its peak. Yeah. I don't know much about this project, so I don't know where you got in, where you bought Electronium, but let's see. Let's look at the most recent. Let's do 1 year. Okay, so it was up in Q4. So that's a good sign. It ran up with the rest of the market, but then took it all back, right? Yeah, I don't know much about this project, guys, but let me see if there's an actual chart for it. Yeah, it looks like there is. Electronium. All right, we'll use a tether chart, I guess. Let's see here. Wow. Okay. When it launched, its price was, I don't know if this is a glitch, but its price was 49 cents. And then it's been down significantly. Okay, so let's say we ignore the initial launch, right? And we just use, what is it, the 2020 chart? 2021? Okay. It topped in 2021, obviously here. That's a really bad chart right there. Again, I don't hold the token. I have nothing against it. Just the chart is brutal. You can see here, it has not shown much life off the bear market bottom. A little bit of a spike in Q4, but it hasn't even got past the 0.236, right? Again, compare that chart or just chart to, let's say, H bar, which got off the bear market bottom, showing a lot of strength. So just calling it like it is, not saying it can't run later in the bull market, but the likelihood that it could hit new all-time highs, the probability is low because it hasn't shown any strength yet. So that's something to keep in mind. But as always, it depends, where did you get in? What entry price? Did you buy the bear market, or did you buy the top of the last market? So SGB, so Songbird. I have some Songbird, but I'm honestly not banking on it. I'm more banking on Flare because that's the main net. But, we'll see. At this point, it's all house money because it was an airdrop. So I didn't pay anything for it. So, but this is a brutal chart as well. All right. Look at a lot of weakness here. And that's why I'm banking more on Flare. But if this goes up to 3 cents, I didn't pay any. I got an airdrop, so I'm going to just take the profits. You know what I mean? Hey, David, how are you? Great to have you. Steven Turner. Yeah, so I mentioned XRP earlier. XRP's golden here. I mean, we are up significantly. We broke the all-time high already. We have the pullback with everything pulling back with the tariff uncertainty. It's still holding strong, hanging out at the 200-day moving average. So XRP is golden, man. It is being a leader in the latter half of 2024, showing tons of strength. A lot of people really unhappy about that, right? Because you look at like ETH, and ETH has been underperforming. It's starting to catch up a bit, but it's been underperforming. But XRP, doing what Solana was doing late 2023 into 2024, XRP just taking the reins, grabbing a lot of liquidity. So it just needs to get back up here to the and break a new all-time high, head into price discovery. I'm expecting, honestly, an $8 to $10 XRP. It could be lower. Maybe it's more of a $7 to $8, but we'll have to wait and see. This is where you got to have a cash out plan, take your profits on the way up. But I think XRP is going to do really well this cycle. And you may say, well, Tony, you're biased, you hold the token. But okay, let's say I don't hold the token, right? Just look at this chart. Look at the chart. And then there's narratives out there. They won the SEC lawsuit. The SEC has capitulated, dropped the cases, right? And then an ETF, a spot ETF, is on the horizon. That's all bullish, man. You know what I mean? So very, very good stuff. Yeah, David, I mean, my goodness, people who are saying 100 or even 10,000, be careful, guys. They don't know what they're talking about. Okay, Cardano. I hold a bit of Cardano, not a lot, but let's see what's happening with Cardano here. So Cardano's not showing as much strength this cycle, but it's not a horrible chart because if you look at it here, right, the last all-time high was around $3. In the Q4 rally that we just all experienced, it got up to the 3.82, or what am I saying? The 0.382. Took it back a bit, but still relatively, this is decent. And from a percentage gain standpoint, it's not far from $3. So it could honestly move and break new all-time highs. How high it goes, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But if that chart doesn't look too bad. Now, if its old all-time high was $10 and then it was still down here, I would say, okay, the probability of it breaking an all-time high, very low. But I think it can break that $3, honestly, just based on the percentages. Thank you, Kieran. I appreciate that. Borg? I don't know what Borg is, Kieran. I've honestly never heard of it. Is that a meme coin? There's a whole lot of Borgs here, man. So I'm not sure. Swiss Borg? I don't know. What is this? A new one? Yeah, I don't know about this coin, honestly. Looks like it's been down since its all-time high in 2021. Yeah, never heard of this, man. Men of Fortitude, great to have you. So, Metaphor, I spoke about Zebek earlier, so I'm not gonna go back on it again. I don't know much about it. It seems to be performing well recently. I need to do some more research on it, but the price action recently looks good. Dwight Perry, great to have you. Ty, some of these coins I honestly don't know about. Like, there's multiple ties here, so I don't know which one, but I can look at XDC. XDC. I don't hold this token, by the way, but I've heard of it. It's good that you were seeing some price action for it recently, you know, coming in January. Let's look at it on the bigger chart here. XDC. Let's see which exchange might be best to do this. Okay. I don't know. I'm not getting much data there. Okay, there's some more data here. So, actually, hold on. Let's see. I just want to make sure I'm getting the right chart and it has the most info. Okay, so all these look the same. Bitstamp isn't the one that is not. Bitfinex. Oh, here we go. I knew I had something set up for this. Okay, XDC, I don't hold a token, but guys, this is a nice chart. Again, I hope you're following what I'm saying, right? It is off the bear market bottom. It went to the 786. Very good sign. Its all-time high was what, 19 cents? It is not far from its all-time high. It is reasonable to say it has a high probability of busting through that easily by just looking at the charts, right? Now, this is not including if there's anything detrimental that happens to it. I'm not saying something like that, but I just want to put that caveat. Sometimes projects can fail, right? But if everything is copacetic and the bull market continues, I could see XDC busting through its all-time high of what it was at 20 cents, whatever it is, 19, and going to new all-time highs. And using a Fibonacci model, you know, maybe it could get to a 48.50 cents mark, or maybe it tops out at 30 cents. You know, we don't have a crystal ball, but we can say there's a probability of it getting there. So XDC, I mean, that's a good looking chart right there. It's just me. BCB, his prediction charts are following me. Yeah, I follow BCB. He does great analysis. I've learned a lot from him. So I look at multiple analysts because there's no one person who gets it right all the time, right? That's not possible. We're all human beings. We're all fallible. So I look at him, Alessio Rastani, a bunch of other folks, Crypto Currently, CoinSkid as well, because you want to make sure you're getting the full array of perspectives, because sometimes people may see things that others don't see, and sometimes people may get things wrong, right? So just keep that in mind. And that's why I don't tell people you must only listen to me. I know all of it. I don't. I'm learning, but I know enough to be dangerous. I know enough that I've made money in the market, and I'm on the journey of being more financially educated, understanding markets, and I'm trying to share that knowledge with you guys from what I've learned from macro investors, hedge fund folks, different traders. So I hope this is helpful. John 316, blessings, thoughts on CRO, smash the like button. Thank you, John. Thank you for the $2 Canadian dollars a donation. I appreciate that. Let's look at CRO. So I don't hold CRO. That's the Kronos the Kronos coin, native to crypto.com. So Kronos, all-time high of around $1, currently at 10 cents. It showed a little bit of strength, you know, in the Q4 rally, but not much. I would like to see more strength. So I don't know if this has the probability of breaking the all-time high, but again, it depends on your entry price. Where did you buy? The old all-time high or the bloody bear market, right? Because if this runs up, let's simply to 55 cents, let's say, and you bought in the bear market, you're making money. But if you bought the all-time high, you're not going to be in profit. So let's see. And look, the thing is with crypto.com as an exchange token, they have the ability to potentially burn tokens, which could really help the price. Binance has done that. In addition, they have a huge partnership with Trump Media and these folks. So that could really help the price because it'll be a big narrative boost, but we'll have to wait and see. But right now, John, we are seeing not much strength. We want to see more strength. So we want to keep watching the chart. And I'm not saying it can't run, right? So don't get me wrong. I'm just saying at this point in time, after a major rally in Q4, and the fact that we're looking at other coins like HBAR that have pushed off that bear market bottom, XRP clearly pushed off that bear market bottom, right? We want to see more strength is what I'm saying. So I think there's going to be a point where the market's going to be super euphoric and everything's going to run. But right now, not much, happening for a CRO. Folks, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, hit the heart button, the like button, subscribe if you haven't as yet. Check out our sponsors, guys. Uphold, a great place to buy, sell, and stay crypto. They have a lot of rewards programs. Check them out. I've been a user since 2018. Check out Trezor. They make great hardware wallets. I'm a user. I use the Trezor Safe 5. You can use the code ThinkingCrypto, all one word, to get a 5% discount. So go check them out. And Proppy, they are putting real estate on chain. I am a Proppy token holder. I have been since 2018. And they're disrupting the real estate industry with blockchain, of course. And VeChain, top enterprise blockchain being adopted by big companies and brands globally, building Web3 applications. I am a VET token holder, have been for a long time as well. So check out those sponsors, guys. Links will be in the description. Also, sign up for the free email newsletter, 100% free. And this includes a lot of the information I share in these podcasts. So you can bookmark this, go back to it to go on your journey of learning the markets and what's happening in the market. Check out my book on Amazon and my course at mycryptocourse.com. All the links in the description. Okay, guys, I'm going to probably wrap up in about 5 minutes or so. Hey, Kevin, great to have you. Flip Auto and Carpet Cleaning says, hello, what do you think about Filecoin? So let's look at Filecoin. Filecoin, I think I have a little bit of Filecoin in my portfolio, not a lot. I'm not like a big bad holder or anything like that. I had bought a little bit of Filecoin, I think, a long time ago. So Filecoin, and being brutally honest here, is a rough chart, guys. Rough chart. I was talking about percentages. Its all-time high, guys, was near $240. It is currently sitting at $2.50. Do the math. That is brutal. I mean, you zoom out, you can't even see where we're at right now in the chart. This is what I'm talking about, percentage gains, right? So, but going back to what I was saying, maybe if you bought down here at these depreciated values and it runs up to $20 maybe or higher, you're making money. But if you bought in this zone, my God, you are down bad, right? It's rough, guys. So I got to be honest, this is a very bad chart. This is, if you're holding a coin, you don't want to see this, right? And I know some of you may hold it, and I'm just being honest. But once again, if you bought, I don't know, whatever here, and it rallies up to, once again, $20, you're making money. But overall, if you're a holder from back here, man, the probability of you seeing a new all-time high is not good. Now, are there outliers where, somebody comes and buys Filecoin and it shoots up back or something? Sure. But other than that, man, the probability is low of this thing hitting a new all-time high. That's a nasty chart right there. I don't know what CWH is. Some of these coins I honestly have not heard of. And if I don't know much about some of these coins, I don't want to. Oh, this is a meme coin. Yeah, I don't really follow meme coins. And, so I'm not really going to, check that out. Because meme coins are the speculative aspect is too crazy. That you can't even like chart analysis these things. Okay, Spell Token. Don't know much about this as well. Let's see. Okay, it's down significantly from its all-time high. little bit of a rally in January. Lending platform. Yeah, I don't know much about this. Let's see if there's an actual chart for it. Yes, there is. Okay. Okay, Spell is down bad. I mean, not as bad as the as the Filecoin chart, but look at that, right? Percentage gains, all-time high of around 30 cents. It is currently, I mean, look at where it's trading at, right? This is where, again, depending on your entry price, if you bought down here, okay, you may have some room for upside, but if you bought over here back in 2021 or whatever, you're in a tough spot. So hopefully you can find some strength, but it hasn't shown much strength, right? Again, if you compare that to charts like XRP, HBAR, you want to see that strength. You want to see breaking through these Fibonacci levels. Leander Benjamins, great to have you from Holland. Thank you for tuning in. All right, guys. We're going to wrap it up soon. Someone's asking about Algorand. I do have some Algorand tokens. Algorand has taken a beating, though. It has not performed that great. The problem is when it launched, it came out the door just blazing, man, at over $3. Even the last bull market cycle, it wasn't even able to touch the all-time high. It came close. And then let's do this. Oops, wrong item here. Okay, and then for the Q4 rally, it didn't even break through the 2.836 here. So again, a weak chart, but percentage-wise, from the 2021 high, not necessarily that far off. So it could see a rally. You know, I don't know if it's going to break the all-time, well, I should say the 2021 high, let alone the old all-time high. So we shall see. And again, I hold the token, but I got to be, transparent with you guys. I got to be honest, no bias. I'm hoping it can break and go to new highs, but I'm not seeing a lot of strength here. So it's not a good sign. Kieran says, do you think we likely see sideways summer, June, July, August, or could timing cause us to stray from the boring summer narrative? Yeah, great question, Kieran. So a lot of different analysts have been looking at this, and I've been trying to study it myself. I think the timeline has been pushed back, and that is the sell-in may go away. Typically, you have the markets wrap up by June, right? Stock market and crypto, and then the summer becomes boring, sideways, as you mentioned. But because of the tariff crash, I think it pushed the timeline back. Now, I could be wrong. I'm just looking at global liquidity, right? This is why we got to use the data to validate our thesis. Global liquidity's been rising, and Bitcoin's following. So we could see a rally into the summer and then some sideways action based on how global liquidity is looking here, right? You see that sideways kind of plateauing here, then a spike up again, maybe in September or late September into October, and then ultimate blow up top. That's possible. So we'll just have to wait and see. But I do think there's some change in the normal cyclical seasonal pattern. So that's how I'm approaching it. And that's why I'm watching these charts closely, especially this month. What's going to happen this month? And I do believe that we're going to see a sharp recovery. Bitcoin's going to see a sharp recovery out of this corrective zone. And we're going to, hit some new highs. We'll see how high we go. Bitcoin is to do what it did in the past bull market cycles and go to that 3.618 and even break through it. That puts it over 200,000, but that's not a guarantee. So at 150, Bitcoin goes to 150, I'm definitely taking profits. And then if it goes higher, awesome. I'll take more profits there, but there's no guarantee. I hope it does, right? And that'll be great for altcoins. The higher Bitcoin goes, more liquidity gets rotated down to altcoins. All right, folks. It's been over an hour. So thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate you all. I'm wishing you all the best of luck in this bull market. Remember, be patient, use the data, and to validate your thesis. Don't be emotional about the markets. If you're being emotional, you're doing it wrong. And I know it's a process. I went through it myself. Just adjust as you, if you feel yourself getting emotional about your portfolio, you got to step away from it, right? And like I said, maybe this is the week or next week too, to go do other things. Bitcoin's going to consolidate, so there's nothing to really focus on here, and then come back, you know, once we start seeing some strength, and then we'll keep going upwards. So once again, wishing you all the best of luck in this bull market, that you make incredible returns. And thank you for watching and tuning in. Be sure to check out our sponsors. All the links will be in the description. All the links to support the podcast in the description as well. Thank you guys. Appreciate you all, and I'll talk to you all later.